like Susie said, scared me. My name is Courtney Nielsen, and I've been in real estate since 2012. I didn't go full time until 2016 when I left teaching. So I used to be a high school English teacher. And then I worked in resale, and my husband was working for a builder. So you'll see him around too. His name's Ben. And he was working for a builder for a few years. And then in 2019, we decided, hey, let's team up. So we've been working together since then. And like Susie said, we also started a branch, the Eagle Mountain office out in Eagle Mountain. That's us. So you're more than welcome to come by anytime, or if you need something there, you have clients that you need to meet out there, just text us and let us know and we can get you in. I'm excited to talk about Win the Seller today. So let me see. I gotta grab this. Have a lot of toggling and back and forth that we're going to be going over. All right. So you guys are familiar with the course overview, right? There's 20 classes for the Ignite. We are today on Win the Seller. Last time you should have talked about Win the Buyer. And this schedule repeats, right? So you can jump in at any time. We do recommend that you take Ignite or go through it a couple of times so that you can really download all of the information because it does take a while to like for the light bulb to click or to go on, right? So today we are going to go through this. This is like our map for the day. So we're going to be talking about A sellers, how to get the appointment, or when you get the appointment, what do you do? So we have pre-listing packet, listing appointment, listing agreement, some ahas, and then what you can do to help you on your daily success. I really like this Gary Keller quote. While leads are vital to your sales business, seller listings are critical to your ability to build it to its highest level with the lowest cost and the highest net. So let's jump right into qualified sellers. So basically what this means is an A qualified seller is somebody who's ready, able, and willing to buy or to sell right now within the next 2 weeks. So you're going to spend, there's a lot of things that shiny objects for real estate agents that we go from this to this to this to this, right? And what do we focus on? These are the people we need to focus on, the people who are ready, able, and willing right now. Now, does that mean that we ignore the rest? No, in our client pool, right? We still need to do some follow-up, keep up with those, because at some point, if a seller says they want to move, they're going to move. You don't know when they're going to move. It could be this month, next month, 6 months, a year from now, 5 years from now, but they've already planted that seed in their own heads. I am unhappy in some way. I'm going to move. I've had a couple of clients that, let's see, one was an internet lead. I think it was like a Facebook lead. And I met her in November, and her husband had recently passed away. She was an older woman. Her husband had recently passed away. She was very unhappy in her home. He died in her home. So every day she woke up, it was a reminder, right? So she was very depressed, very sad. Her house was so dark, she felt. She just was really unhappy there and felt like she needed a change. But it took her almost an entire year before she got the courage to actually do that, because there was some guilt there too, I feel bad, I can't leave our home, all these things. And they had older kids involved, and she felt like she would be upsetting them by selling her house and moving. Anyway, so it wasn't until the following September when we closed on her house and we bought, and I helped her buy a new house. So she closed on both. So even though our A's are the most important right now, we want to give our most attention to, don't forget about the others, because they will. And my husband, through this whole time, he's like, Courtney, what are you doing? You're wasting so much time. Don't. Okay, this lady loves Diet Pepsi, but half diet, half regular with cherry. So occasionally I just stop by with a swig drink and I'd be like, how are you doing? You know, just visiting her. And, you know, all through that, I don't know, 10 months, me just popping every once in a while, sending her a text. We'd go out and look at some homes because she would, you know, oh, this one looks fun. But it was like 10 months of showing homes. Okay. And he then was like, all right, Courtney, she's never going to sell. I'm like, no, she is. I know she is because I know, like, I understand where she's coming from and I know that there's some dissatisfaction and someday she will. So it really paid off for us because that was the year of COVID when it actually closed in September. And if I hadn't kept on with that, like September would have been a really hard month. 2020 was hard. People like were all of a sudden buying and then not buying and then crazy mad buying. It was crazy. But it was a good time for us. And you know, that's a testimony of follow-up, I guess. So, okay. All right. Oh, shoes. What did I do? Okay. Okay. So this takes us to part of the MREA book, the Red Bible. If you don't have one of those, you need to get one and you need to read it. Every system that we have, proven system that we have, is in the MREA. And this is one of the primary, I guess, foundational principles of the book. So we have this triangle and we have leads, listings, and leverage. This is how you keep your business going. And I'll say, so like the market's been tricky lately, right? With rates keep going up. And I've got several listings and my husband is like, Courtney, we need more buyers. We need more buyers. And I'm like, but we have 11 listings. Like, that's really easy, you know, but because they're sitting, it feels like nothing. But then this morning we were talking, I'm like, think about the leverage that we have with all those listings. Like if I had 11 buyers right now, I would have no time. I would be like running around like a chicken with my head cut off. But with my listings, yes, I'm actively and proactively trying to market those, but I have so much more free time, even though I have 11 listings. That's a lot, right? So onward. Seller listings mean marketing opportunities. And this was a good reminder for both Ben and I as I was reviewing the slides for this presentation today, because seller listings mean marketing opportunities. When you have a sign in the yard, every time somebody drives past that sign, they're thinking of you. Whether they know you or don't know you, they're subconsciously thinking of you, right? So anywhere you have a sign in the yard is an absolutely amazing time that you can use for marketing. You have more control of your time, which is so true. I can attest to that. They maximize your per hour compensation. So I'm working less, but I have more. And then the key to Gary Keller, what he's always preaching, is volume, volume, volume. You want as many listings as you possibly can. With seller listings, you are on the front end of pricing. So I'll say that when we were in, the peak of the COVID crazy buying era, go Taylor Swift there. We were in the COVID era. All right. So with those at that time, I felt like because I had listings at the same time that I was helping buyers, I had a little bit of insight into how I would structure my offers for my buyers when I was going up against, 20 other people. And so that really helped me, because on the listing side, I was able to see what was coming in, what other strategies other agents were using, and I could see where pricing was going, like how much, higher of offers we were getting at the time. And so this is definitely, and right now too, in this market, with the way prices, even though, we have more homes on the market, we have high rates, our pricing is not dropping like some people thought it would. And so it's really helpful to be on this side to see, okay, well, what did this house sell for? What did this? I'm like, you're really up on it. So one thing I would say for you, if you haven't, like, you really should study the market in which you want to sell it. If your area is Orem, you should know Orem, you know, like the back of your hand. Maybe you set up some listing alerts for you so that you can be alerted when new properties come on the market, so that you can, like in Eagle Mountain and Saratoga, where I do a lot of work, and in Lehigh, I do need to go do a full comprehensive market analysis for my clients, but I also am so familiar with the area and what homes are going for. Like I can automatically, instinctively know, oh, hey, this neighborhood, it's going to go between this and this. I just have to find the comps that prove that, right? Properly marketed seller listings bring you more business, and that is true. Okay, so this is the 7-step cycle of a seller. So first you're going to have a lead, then we go through the pre-listing stage. We're going to do the listing consultation. We're going to service and market, accept offers and negotiate, and then take that contract to close. And then you have some post-close systems. So I would say at the beginning part of my business, I didn't understand how important 7 was, post-close systems. If you want referral business and repeat business, your post-close system is key. That's how we maintain those relationships with those sellers for years to come, and how you stay top of mind. Even though somebody bought a home, like, you know, like now, say somebody buys a home right now, it doesn't mean that they're like, they have friends, they have family, they want to see what you're doing. And with you're keeping in contact with them and being that super highly supportive, engaged agent, when it comes time for them to sell or someone they know, you will be top of mind. Any ahas before we move on? Yes.
And it may be a silly one to you, but how do you study like your market? What kind of things, other than knowing, you know, on a daily basis, I would imagine how many homes are on the market, what the average price is, but when you say really know your market like the back of your hand,
yeah. So for me, that would mean I think going and previewing homes is really important for an agent to do. Now, do we want to kick our sellers out of their house and like make them clean and do all the things? Like, no. So I would definitely let the agent know, hey, I'm previewing some homes, and you don't have to tell them like just for you, but I'm previewing some homes for some clients. Can I just drop by? Like your seller can be there. They don't need to leave, you know, or whatever. But walking through homes in the different neighborhoods, like Sandy is a really unique area, and you can have, it's really hard to comp sometimes in Sandy because there's a neighborhood right here, and then there's a neighborhood right here, and the neighborhood right here, and they're all within a quarter of a mile of each other, and their prices are so different. And it's because of the type of style of home, how old they are, next to the, you know, another neighborhood with a different type of home. Maybe this neighborhood is like a little pocket of like newer built, or these are all renovated, or it's just like the design and that, I don't know. It's crazy how Sandy is, but like you really, if you're going to work Sandy, you really have to like visit a lot of homes, look at all the listings. You need to look at the photos, and know also, because there's a lot of like rehabs in that area. So yeah, like flips, so an old home, they come in and they like gut it and make it, yeah, refurbish the home. So there's a lot of that in Sandy, West Valley, older areas, you know, where people want to live, but they don't want to live in a house built 70 years ago. So then they remodel. But anyway, so a lot of those too, especially when I had a buyers who are looking in Sandy, it's so interesting going and seeing all the homes that are supposedly flips and seeing who puts a Band-Aid on and who like really, you know, this is actually worth the remodel. This over here looks like, I don't know what they did. You know, it's like DIY all over the place. Scary. So you have to be familiar with the areas. For me in Saratoga and Eagle Mountain, I can name the neighborhoods like, okay, over here in the SSOA off Centennial, like that's where all the luxury homes are. Doesn't mean that there aren't luxury homes in other parts of the neighborhood, but that's a very exclusive neighborhood, I would say. Their HOA is, even though it's $100 a month, you get a lot for it. in comparison to some of the other like neighborhoods. Pelican Bay is a really great area. Across the way, and I don't know, I could just name all the different areas. Eagle Mountain, you know, City Center versus the ranches versus North Ranch versus Silver Lake. You got to know all of that, you know. Well, I've been in real estate a long time and I'm a little bit crazy. So yes.
No, so I guess you just learned one area at a time.
Yeah. And oftentimes it comes when you have a client. Like, I don't know every area perfectly, but I mean, I'm familiar enough with now Salt Lake down to Payson, Santaquin, that I would say my special, like I really know Eagle Mountain, Saratoga, Lehigh, Highland Alpine, that whole area. But it doesn't mean that I don't know other parts of the town too, because I've had buyers who, you know, but when I have a buyer, I don't just like I do a deep dive into what's the market look like in this area. I really try to study the area, drive the streets.
Drive the streets. Okay, so preview the home. What else would you know about this? Really knowing.
I would set up hot sheets for certain areas so you know what's new coming on the market, and so that you can compare the prices of homes. I mean, you can even do some comparative market analysis where you live, like comp your house every once in a while. So, you know, oh, I mean, actually, I've used my house as an example for one of my house that I live in for one of the things that we're doing today. Because I want to know, like, where I live, what are houses selling around me for? You know, I want to be the area expert. I want my neighbors to know that I'm the area expert. I don't know. I have to think of some other things. They'll come to me as we go. Any other questions?
You have 11 lessons right now.
Mm-hmm.
How did you get these? Is it from the world of or
Actually, yes. Like I could probably go through all of them. I can't think of, see. Most all of them are from my past clients' referrals or someone in my sphere. I will say having an office in Eagle Mountain helps. People who I've lived out in the area for 15 years, 15 years. So I know a lot of people. I'm not like besties with everybody, but they know me, I know them, right? And so I have lots of signs up all over, and so people call me that way. I do a lot of social media. I do newsletters. I do a lot of calling around, just trying to get people to like let me be their area expert, you know. And then I put them on drip campaigns and things like that. And so a lot of it is I've been in the business a long time. And so I would not say my business was like this when I first started, obviously, right? My very first listing, actually, this is kind of a fun story. So I got my license in 2012, not a great year for real estate. It was really, really hard. We were still coming out of the Great Recession or whatever we call that era. What is that era? I don't know. Well, whatever it was. After the crash, it was really tricky. And I got my license. I was a teacher, and so school ended in the end of May or 1st of June. I don't know. And you guys, after a school year of teaching, I am like spent. I laid in bed for an entire week, and my husband would come in every day. Are you okay? Are you going to get up today? Nope. I'm going to lay here. And so like by the end of the week, he's like, okay, you good now? And I'm like, I'm good. You know, so I jump up and I like have all this energy again. But I was just every year I was so beat that last week after school let out. But then I had this like window. I'm like, I have to get my first listing within this window. Otherwise, so I can quit teaching. Otherwise, I have to go back to teach. So this sounds like actually, okay, so I did get a listing. It was one of our neighbors, but they ended up canceling. So I was like, crap, that's not going to work for me. Gonna have to go back to teach. So I went back to teach. I put my license on inactive. Was a whole year later, one of my teacher friends who I worked with said, hey, Courtney, you're a realtor, right? It's like, yeah, I'm a realtor. She's like, is there any way you can open some doors for me? I'm just curious. I want to look at a couple houses. I mean, we're not really moving, but I just want to look. She's like, I don't want to call another realtor because I don't want them to like pounce on me. I was like, yeah, sure. So I was like, how about, this was like on a Monday or Tuesday. I'm like, how about we go on Thursday or Friday? Because I had to get my license activated, get a realtor key, get all the things before I could like actually show her a house. And in the old days, it was like an actual key. Like it was like a remote, like little that you had to get from, you didn't have an app. So we go and we got all that ready. We went and looked at some houses, and this was also not a market that things were moving super fast. It was a good market. I love these. I love stable markets. They're so predictable. We know how to price. We know just so much more than these crazy markets right now where it's been so volatile with either prices shooting up or then interest rates and all these things. It's a tough time to get started, but it's still a great time to do real estate. There's so much positivity for the future. And you guys are like on the cusp of another era coming up soon in the next year. Okay, so Mickey, we go around, we look at some houses, and she's like, I can't remember. We started looking at some new builds. She finds one. She's like, okay, we're under contract, and now we have to sell my house. So that was my first listing. Is my friend Mickey, who was my teacher buddy. Jess was like, you're a friend, come show me a house. Okay. And that's kind of just how it evolved. So I helped Mickey, and then the next deal was my brother-in-law and sister-in-law. They were buying a lot. I helped them sell their house, and then it just kind of went from there. And it was like crazy. But I also at that point then started putting myself out there. I started posting, and I'm like, look, you know, Mickey moved into her new house, or actually they closed while they were in Hawaii. So I like posted something about like, how awesome is that? They go to Hawaii and close on their house, you know, something, I can't remember what it was, but something like that. And people started noticing. Also within my own neighborhood, I had a lot of friends who were like, we had lived in that neighborhood for like 8-9 years. Everybody was like feeling antsy to move. This was like probably 2014-ish, 2015. Their home values had come back up and they were all ready to go build their dream homes, you know? So I don't know if that was a smart technique at the time, but I was like, I need my neighbors to know I'm a real estate agent. So I'm going to offer a killer deal. And basically for a bunch of my neighbors and good friends, I did like 1% listings, had a bunch of signs in the neighborhood. People saw that I was doing real estate, and then I didn't have to do 1% anymore. But that was like a strategy at the beginning where it's like, okay, I mean, it was 1% on my end, you know, 2.5, 3 for the other end. So, but people started seeing that, and that's kind of how I started like getting that rolling. It took me a long time to understand that your database is your business though. And it took me a long time. I mean, really until like 3 or 4 years ago. That's crazy. But where the light bulb just went on, I was like, oh, that's how real estate works. You know, so if you can learn right now that your database is your business, that means your sphere for now. But as you get clients, right, and you have home sales, then you'll have those people that you can count on too. But I know it's hard to market to this sphere, but you don't have to like be in their face and call them up. Hey, do you have a house for me to sell? No, you just be a friend to people, right? You're doing things that you should already be doing. Hey, you text your friend. Hey, how you doing today? And that's just being a nice friend. And how does that conversation usually end up? Oh, great. How are you? What are you up to? Oh, I'm just selling real estate. The conversation always comes back to real estate. And that's, you know, that's one technique, is just to reach out to the family. You don't have to like be like crazy salesperson. That's not how I operate. I'm low key. Well,
Can I ask, how many people do you talk to a day? Probably, are you still doing the 10 or 25 a day?
okay, I really suck at that. So I think Becca even said this in the last time she taught this class. She's like, we all should be doing that, and we're not doing it. So I'm in a point in my business where a lot of my business is SOI and referral. But I have this like this database, and it's going to be where it's at. It's going to grow slowly at this point, because now it's like I've got the majority of the people in there that already know me, right? So in order for me to expand that database, now I have to start meeting new people. So I haven't been doing that, but that's partly because we've been growing a team, and then we have some systems that we've been building, and I don't want to, oh, I should not say this. This is a limiting belief, and it's mine, okay? And I'm gonna own it right now, but my belief is that I can't call the people if I don't have the follow-up system in place. Otherwise, I feel like it's a waste of time. So for the last few months, we've been like dead in like making calls, and it's because I'm trying to get all my smart plans and stuff uploaded into my new system, because we've been changing CRMs. It's taken way longer than it should. But once everything is back rolling, then yes, I will be on the phone making calls. We use Redx, we use internet web leads. Those are just some things that I do. So
Well, I think today, I could do what I wanted to do, what I needed to do was to learn about CMAs, but, you know, they tell you to talk and do and connect, and I'm like, but how can I do that and do all my schooling and get systems? I can't do it all, and I'm not an optician, you know, my mind tells me I am. However, I counted how many people I contacted yesterday. It was about 14 people.
Mhm.
I was on the phone until 8:30, 9 o'clock last night, and I didn't have time to do the work.
yeah, that's the battle. You kind of just have to. So when I was a teacher, I also went to school because I was like, okay, if I'm going to stay in teaching, I need to make more money. I know it's not all about money, but you have to live, right? And teachers don't make much money. So I'm like, if I'm going to stay in education, I have to either become an administration, I have to be a principal or assistant principal or whatever, or what was the other option? There was no other option. Or quit, find another career. So at that time that we were in, I was like, made the decision to go back to school and get a master's in educational leadership. So in this program, in the educational leadership program, they talk about, and I learned this when I was doing my internships also to be a principal, is you have like your daily list of things that you need to do. And, you know, things are really high priority, the things that you have to do. But like if a student problem comes, you know, if a student, which I think, okay, that's a client, right, in real estate. If a student has a problem, or there's a parent and a student who has a problem, they automatically get taken to the top of the list, and everything else on your list goes down. So you do have to prioritize your day, and you do need to, you know, calendar and, you know, time block and things. But for me, like if a client calls, then they are my top priority, and I kick into client action, I guess, which with education, that would be if there's a conflict with a student, they then become the most important thing to me. So, and some of those things, like, yeah, you should see my list. I have like 2 pages of things I have to do that just keep rolling over, and I just tackle one thing, you know, that I prioritize. Like, I don't know if you know about like Covey, you know, but his system of organizing, reprioritize. Okay, these are my A's, these are my B's, just like your client you categorize your clients, you have to do that on your to-do list too. And yeah, not everything's going to be perfect, and things are always going to be changing. You do have to get out of the cycle of getting ready to get ready at some point. But there is something too. I think if you're a brand new agent and you're dedicated to learning, like now's the time where, hey, okay, so I might not make $1 million this year, right? That's okay. Give yourself permission to learn what you need to do and to develop your systems while you're working on the other things. It's okay. Like you don't have to, you know, come right out of the gates and have 50 listings your first year. I was talking to a new agent the other day and I said, well, what are your goals for the year? And she's like, well, I feel like my first year of real estate should be like all about learning how to be a real estate agent. I'm happy if I get 3 to 4 deals. And I was like, that is a really good number. I felt like it was achievable while you do your education, while you build. You can work on those first deals because that's part of your productivity training, is having Angie there to help you with those first 4 deals. And she can help you also with your schedule and helping you with all those questions. But okay, I really like this graph too. We're going to get to my listing presentation at some point, hopefully soon. What sellers want most from their agent. I thought this was a good thing to highlight because it says, sellers want help with pricing their home competitively. Okay. They also want help on how to market their home to buyers. They want help with how to sell it within a certain time frame. And they want help with how to find ways to fix it up so that they can maximize their dollars, right? I don't know why, but this last one helps sellers find ways to fix it up. Like I always walk through the home with people. I always give them some suggestions of what to do, but I didn't really hit me until today. Like they really do want to know, do I need to replace my carpet? You have to be honest with them. Do I need to replace this carpet or can I do a carpet allowance? Always replace the carpet. I would replace it over a carpet allowance, yes. Because buyers always think it costs more money than it actually does. So they're gonna mark it down. Let's see. Anyway, I like this. Okay, moving on. Okay, so with the 7s close to appointment taxes, you want to show them the benefits, take back the close, negative positivity close, give them what they're looking for, trial close, assumptive close. So these are just ways to like close them like before, during, and after the, I always assume the sell. If they're asking me, like, I think they're going to hire me. And, I just go in with that confidence that, there's a reason why they asked you to come by. And also I thought this was good. Becca has said this before, that just because you're a new agent doesn't invalidate your education, your experience, your likability, your trust that you might have with a seller. So somebody might interview and they're like, hey, I have this friend who just got their real estate license, but they have a connection to you. And somebody else like me comes in and I'm like, here's this and here's all my stats. Like, I'm the best, hire me. And they're like, no, I want to go with my friend, And so you can get listings. So put that out there. Listings are going to come to me.
What other clients do we have, right? Like, let's be real, like, we're brand new. We have
Yeah.
clients, this client that we're getting with.
Yeah, you're going to give them,
Like, I'm gonna give them
yes,
like,
100%.
make sure that I can
Mhm.
house.
Yeah.
Like, so that's kind of how
Yeah.
I'm looking at it.
I love it. You have all the time in the world to help them.
Like, I'm gonna devote literally my life to you right now.
Yeah.
Because this is it. Like, you're it, right?
I love that. Okay. Here's another thing that is important to bring up. So questions versus objections. So when a question is asked, answer it. If an objection comes up, then you handle it. The commission question does not mean it's an objection. They just have a question. How much are you charging? So answer it. What's your answer going to be? It doesn't have to be as scary of a conversation as we sometimes make it out to be. Most people already know what agents, we have no fixed rate. We have no fixed commission, right? But they know about what a lot of people charge to sell a house. So it's not a huge surprise. Now, if they have an objection that comes up later, like, hey, is there any way that you can reduce your commission? Well, that's a question too, but is that a no? Or is it, well, let's talk about it. What are you thinking? You know, I always try to come up with some kind of win-win. Yeah, the goal is always to come in with the 6%, but I take nothing less than 5 at this point, 2.5, 2.5. But, and that's just because a lot of agents are offering that. So I feel like I have to compete, you know, with the market. But right now, though, some agents are getting 6, 7% because it's tricky to sell a house right now. So, your value, is there any house? All right, we're gonna move on. Okay, pre-listing packet. So there's a lot of ways to do this. Ah, my gosh, you guys, I'm terrible at this button clicking thing. So they have this purposeful approach, doing what comes unnaturally. So we have like this entrepreneur to the, or employee to the, oh crap, you guys, I need to look, I forgot. I gotta look it up. What? Oh, thank you. It's one of the 6 P's. That's all, or 6, whatever. Purposeful. Oh yeah, entrepreneurial to purposeful. Yeah. So we have the systems to help us get from that point to that point. I need to, oh my gosh. Dean said use the arrows. I haven't been following his instruction. Pre-listing. Okay, so will you review it at the listing presentation? Does it eliminate the need for a listing consultation? Is it a primer for education you will provide at the listing consultation? So this is where I pull in my English background. I used to teach people how to write a paper, how to write an argument paper, okay? And in an argument paper, we have rhetoric, right? And we have to have 3 main components: ethos, pathos, and logos. Okay, ethos is like our credibility. Logos is like stats, logic, things that appeal to the person who likes numbers. And pathos is the emotional connection that you can make with somebody. So I think that this pre-listing packet criteria is a great way to build that credibility. So what I do a lot of front loading with my clients when I go to a listing appointment. Okay, I gotta go to this. So here's an example of my email that I send. And I know it's really heavy. And I do warn them when I text that, or I'll text them and I say, okay, I just sent you over a ton of information. Like, I know it's a lot to read through, but I really like to front load you with information. People do start, they do read it, especially if they're motivated to sell their house, you know? So I basically start out, I mean, it's not perfect because I copied and pasted and I probably needed to do some editing before I sent it, but sent this to Ben. He's my client. Thank you so much for thinking of our real estate team to help you explore your options with selling your home in Saratoga Springs. If our marketing plan and numbers look right, we'd be thrilled to help you through the home selling process. Our goal is to help you net the most money and sell in the quickest time possible. And more importantly, that you will feel confident knowing your home sale is in the best of hands as you embark on your next adventure. To begin the process, we really like to front load you with information. Let me know if you have any questions. To do that, I have attached. So there are 2 ways that you can deliver a listing pre-listing packet. One is you can deliver it in person, and another way is to deliver it through email. I always just do email. I know that the method of delivering it in person before is a really great method too, but I just have so many things and videos and things I attach that I just do this. Okay, so the first thing that I do is we made a video kind of our process, and it is a long video. It's 20 minutes long. So I'm like, I know it's long. Like, if you can't do anything, just watch the video, you know? And so it basically breaks down all the steps of our selling process. And so I give them the link, go here, and they go to the video. So we're not going to watch it, but anyway. This is just our little intro, and then it jumps right in. 2020.
Hi, my name is Ben Nielsen. I'm with the Nielsen Property Group. I'm also the branch broker for KW Cedar Valley, right here in Eagle Mountain. And most importantly, we service all.
So we did these like fancy professional videos. You don't have to do a fancy professional video. I think even just like an educational, just like raw, authentic you, think Jim, oh my gosh, Gary V, right? Do you know who Gary V is? Gary Vaynerchuk, how do you say it? You know, his whole thing was like, you know, have these authentic moments. Like he's on the train in New York, and he like something happens, and so he just pulls out the camera and creates a video because people connect with that rawness. So that's a lot of what we do, like on our Instagram and Reels, is more of that. Like I don't do a lot of professional videos, just like my own editing and stuff on that. But so you don't have to start with the fancy video, is what I'm saying. You could start with just some small little clips, just so that they can have a personal, like, hey, I'm so-and-so, and I'm super excited to meet you. I'm super excited to help you with your home sale. We have a lot of information that we're going to go over before. I mean, just like a 1 minute little video of you can add that little bit of connection. Okay, so okay. So the second thing, then we go, I've analyzed the market and have provided you with the best comps that I feel best compare with your house. The PDF begins with a brief synopsis of our marketing plan. You can read our entire listing playbook attached that provides a deeper dive into our process. We highly recommend that you skim through it as well. Then it highlights your property details with 5 comps, a map, and 8 active listings. So the ideal is 5, 5, 5. 5 actives, 5 under contracts, 5 sold, 5 under contracts, 5 actives. Okay, I can't always find 5, 5, 5. So I do my best to get as close to 5 as I possibly can. Sometimes there's no under contract because there's just some houses that are just in areas where people don't move, you know, or any recent ones. So the ideal is that. So then I go into, there hasn't been very many sales with comparable square footage to your home. I expanded the search to include other comparable homes just a mile or so down the road. Based on the comps, it looks like your estimated value range is between $1,050,000 and 1.2. Could you list for more? I think it's possible. However, other homes with the basement finished around, it's supposed to be like 5,400 square foot, have sat on the market for a couple of months at 1.3. I think it's important to position your home the best you can, and value really does drive the market right now with the interest rates and affordability where it's currently at. I think with all of the custom features, the extra garage in the back, you have an excellent chance of standing out in the market. And then at the bottom, there's usually a market analysis attached here. I did it in a separate email this time. Then 3, listing playbook. So this is our complete guide to selling. So this is like our listing playbook. Okay. So we just kind of, you know, go over some things. Like I never say that my top 3 reasons to, you know, hire me or blah, blah, blah. I do it through this. So I do all the things that we do before we list, when we list, after we list. Now, we have this pre-listing packet that we've created, and I've pulled from a bunch of different ones, examples. But you can go right onto command and have a little staging section, photography checklist, showing etiquette, pricing strategies, and then what the closing process looks like, what to bring to settlement, and then what others are saying, and then some frequently asked questions. So this is always attached to anything I ever send anyone. Okay, so if you go to, oh crap, that's the incognito one we did.
see, someone, let's say you're doing an open house. I don't know if you personally do your own open houses. But do you just have this?
I don't bring any of this stuff to an open house. My goal for the open house is to find a buyer. So, I mean, yeah, if we can sell the house at the open house, great, but most of the time that doesn't happen. Open houses are a great way to show your seller that you're putting in some elbow grease, you know, to work, but it's really a lead generation tactic, more so than a selling tactic.
And I just found out a friend of mine who's been a realtor for 40-some years, and she said, Scarlett, the reason why you do an open house is not to sell that house. She said it's to get lead generation,
Yeah.
and I had no idea.
I don't know where I logged in. Ben is the best at open houses in our team. And part of that is because he worked for a builder for 3 years. My husband, Ben, yeah. He worked for a builder. And so he sat in a model home for 4 years. And you guys, anyway. So he, oh, there's not an N.
Is there anyone who would suggest that you might be willing to let us shadow them during an open house or during any kind of transaction? That's what
Yeah. You guys, why is this not working? I think the best person probably to ask for that is Angie, and she probably has a list of people who would be willing. Gosh. Okay, I wanted to show you. In your command, you go down here to this design section with the paintbrush, and then you're gonna go to like search, listing. I just do that, filter, create a design. Oh, you guys, I did it last night. Okay, maybe not. What? Yeah. Oh, just call it listing package. Oh yeah, I think you're right. Oh my gosh. Anyway, go into your command, go to design, play around. There are a bunch of different templates for listing packages, free listing packets. Yeah, Hunter is amazing. He's over the tech. He can help you do any of that. Okay. Oh, we're back to, okay, as part of my email. So then I also add on some other things. Gosh. I'm usually very techie, so this is killing me right now that this is just, it's just not the best setup. Well, I'll say that. I should be sitting down probably there. 27 staging tips and tricks. So this gives you tips to help you declutter, depersonalize, and deep clean your home in preparation for photography and showing. So even though I have a little section in my my listing playbook on staging, I actually have a bigger thing that I've created. And I use this as a deliverable for some of my, like when I'm doing some online ads, like I'll, 27 ways to prep your home to sell. And then I can get leads that way. But this just goes through, oh geez, can't really see that, but literally 27 ways to home prep and stage your house. So it just goes through a bunch of things. And then I think I even give a bonus one at the end. So I go through like everything that they could possibly think of, front door, outdoor, and then the bonus, yard work, let's see, cement care, dedicated rooms, bonus, if you plan to list your house during a season of the year when your flowers are not in bloom, take exterior pictures in advance. The grass is green and flowers and trees are blooming. So if you know, hey, I'm going to sell next year, but I'm going to probably put my house up on the market in March, maybe you should take your pictures in September.
Every month, and I'm like,
Yeah, and then there's a snowy picture in June. So then they need to like go read, you know, and I'm guilty of that too. And then, yeah, so we just have this extra little thing that I just think adds a little bit more to my credibility and my knowledge as an agent. And like, here, look here, I'm providing you with all of this up front. Like here, you have everything you need. Now you just need me. And then I also attached the tax data sheet because most of the information that I'm grabbing to do the comps are from this. You know, I find the square footage, the taxes, all that thing, all of that. So this is my house. Yeah.
So this is what the CMA looks like.
No, this is just the tax sheet. So I gotta look up their tax data information on the house in order to get, they don't know how big their house is ever.
Ever?
Well, very rarely. Some people keep the like flyer from the builder, but most people, they have just this fantasy number in their head. Like every person, like this one person recently, I was listing a house in Saratoga. She tells me on the phone, oh, we've got this 1,000 square foot loft with the play area. And then another garage is another 1,000 square foot. I'm like, okay. You know, I walk in it and I'm like, okay, this is like 200 square feet, you know? So she thinks in her mind, she's got a 7,000 square foot home, but really she only had like 58, 59, which is a big house still. But her husband happened to have the plans and so he could pull them up, but that was it. Oh, so you asked about how I found some other things. Okay, this is a random one. So how I found some of my leads. This one called me out of the blue. And she's like, I'm getting a divorce. Can you help me sell my house? Well, no, she said, I'm interviewing agents. My husband, as part of the divorce, he got to choose 3 agents. I get to select from his 3. That was how the mediator like decided how they could do. So he got to select the 3 that she could pick from. And then she called me. I sent her over a whole package and the other 2 agents didn't send her anything and didn't even really get back to her on anything. And so she went with me because I just did all that up front. And yeah, so that was kind of random. And how he found me is he was looking in Saratoga for other luxury home listings. And he just saw the different people who had luxury listings and called me. Because I was on that list. So anyway, that was cool. So that doesn't happen very often. Then I also send over, okay, then I send over, lastly, I'm attaching the seller's property condition disclosure for you to review. You'll want to fill this out for the future buyers. We can send this over through DocuSign. So if you ever have the opportunity to take a listing presentation class from Lee Stern, 100% do it. Do not miss. Anytime Lee Stern presents on listings, go. She's the queen, L-E-E. She's the queen of listing. She's with the Stern team, which is a big team up in Salt Lake. Josh Stern, her son, was the main guy for that for many years. And she has a really great, so a lot of the things that I have in my listing presentation are things that I learned from Lee. So the video, the Stern team has a video. I'm like, I gotta have a video. So granted, there's only 5 minutes and I'm like, why is this 20 minutes? But the person who was my video person was also a previous client of mine. And he's like, I wish that I had X, Y, Z, all this information. Like, even though I told him everything multiple times, for some reason, he didn't think I told him anything. You know, I gave him the list. He didn't want to read the book, but he would have watched every video I sent him. So hence the long video. And I do break it up. It does break up into sections, so I don't have to send the whole 20-minute all at once. Anyway, estimated selling expenses. So I also send over, before I even come, an estimated expense sheet. It's like a net sheet. This breaks down the cost of selling, including marketing fees, taxes, title escrow, mortgage payoff, and it provides you with an estimated net Our commission is negotiable. We typically charge 6% for commission that is split equally between the listing agent and the buyer agent. Of course, I want to make sure this is a win-win for both of us. So if we need to talk about it more, we can. But some people don't, like they're just fine. You know, they just want to know upfront. So my estimated, a guy on my team created a spreadsheet for us, and we just put it into our spreadsheet. And I like the 2 columns because I like to show, okay, this is the high, this is the low, and then what they would net if we listed that and sold. So I put in 6% commission, that pumps over here. We put in the estimated escrow fees, which includes all of this. We put in, I should probably change that warranty to a 751 now, since that's kind of the new thing. But then I put in the tax proration and what the payoffs are and what they would make if they sold their house. And then this is what I also send them when I have an offer. So I just put in the real details from the offer. And then down here, I put in some of the important details about the contract, like the highlights. And I just add this section. So they have the dates, they know the earnest money, they know what type of loan it is, if it's subject to sell, and when the possession is.
After they're under contract or before?
Before. Both. Yeah. So when we're negotiating, when I receive an offer, I will take that offer, I fill out this form, then I send the offer with this. So then they have like, okay, this is my net from this offer. And these are all the highlights of the important things that we need to know from the offer. If there's anything that's like, oh, like inclusions that they want, I would add a tab for that too. But I like to do that because I just think, especially for the the money-minded person or the numbers person, like this speaks to them, you know. One of the partners always is the money number person. The other partner is more of the, oh, it's everything's so pretty, you're gonna help me stage? Yeah. And it's not always the man, it's not always the woman who's in those roles, you know, like it's not set that the woman is gonna be the creative and the husband is gonna be the logical one. So, okay, that's what I send prior to going to the appointment. After I send this, I'm like, hey, I sent this over. If you can like skim through everything, if you can't do anything, but you can just watch the video. It's 20 minutes. I know it's a long time. I'll bring you a crumble cookie for your time, you know? And so I always come with something, with like either a crumble cookie or another gift for them. I'm all about the whole sales experience. What are they going to get from me throughout this whole process? And little gifts and treats along the way go a long way. They just remember you. Okay. All right. So I know this is a lot of information. Please reach out with any questions. We can jump on normally, okay, this is like, I think the email I sent the divorced couple. So she wanted to see everything before I could actually go meet her at a house. Normally I've already have an appointment set up. Like I'll see you tonight at whatever, or tomorrow at whatever. And we can walk through your home and come up with a list of things that we need to do to help you maximize the sales price, and to help you sell it quickly. All right, so that's that. So go on to command, create your own. You know, I've compiled from a lot of different sources. Here, I find a lot of great information. Also, just going like Lee shares a ton. So if you go to her presentation, and sometimes she'll do like just one listing present, like 1 hour or 2 hours or whatever, a training class, or sometimes she'll do like a whole series and come for like a month. If she does that, you come, because she will break down everything that you have and like tear it apart and tell you what you need to change. So like my packet that I brought, she's like, oh, you need to do this and this and this. And then we just made those changes and it's been great. Okay, so you deliver it, you confirm your appointment date, you ensure that all decision makers attend. This is really important that everybody who's on title is present for the appointment. Now, occasionally it's not going to happen because time is of the essence. So if one of the decision makers can't come for like a couple of weeks because they're out of town on a trip, well, then you just go, right? You're not going to wait 2 weeks because somebody else is going to slip right in front of you. Speed to lead is key in all areas, right? Complete and practice your listing presentation, review the lead sheet. That's like a list analysis type sheet. I think it's in your book. Arrive to the listing presentation in a professional manner. So don't be late. I am a person who's always late to everything, but I am never late to a listing presentation. It's better to be early, not too early. If you are early, like if you're like 5 to 10 minutes, I might sit outside the house, just in my car, like looking through, just kind of prepping a little, pretending like I'm working in my car, buying some time. But if I'm more than 10 minutes, I'll probably drive down the street a little bit and just like park down the road and chill, because I don't want to stress them out or have them come out and say, oh, just come on in. I don't want that, Also, like, nothing bugs me more when, like, I say family party or whatever, and people come like way early and I'm like not ready at all. Like, food is not done. You know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? Like, sometimes it's okay. Yeah, come chill. But other times it's like, no. I'm busy all day. I have like this time frame to get things thrown together. And if you come during that time, you're messing it up, So I don't want to be that person for the client either, because I know they're cleaning, right? They're trying to get their house in order too, to feel that they feel comfortable letting me walk through every bedroom, closet thing for them. So I don't want to stress them out. Okay. Ahas up to this point?
I have a question.
Okay.
Can you come up with a list of things that they need to do to make more to maximize? Let's say there's a tile that's broken. Would you say you better fix that? Especially if it's a luxury.
Yeah, I would.
These little things, like,
Mhm.
I'm just thinking of this $12 million home up in Sundance, and it's been brought down to 8 million something. And I walked through it and I was like, oh, broken tiles and
Is it like a fixer-upper though?
oh, heavens, no.
It's not?
No.
Huh.
They've got-
Because if it's a fixer-upper, it's a fixer-upper.
yeah, it's
But
not.
if you're trying to get top dollar, then yeah, you do want to fix those things. However, some people are really strapped for money. So then you have to like kind of pick and choose what are the best things to put the money towards. Or if you get to a point where you can cover it for them and you get paid back at closing. I know some agents do a lot of that for their clients. Like, you need new grass, we'll put in the grass and we'll just charge you for it at closing. Now they're taking a risk there, because they're saying, okay, well, if I fix this grass and this house doesn't sell and whatever, then they're probably not going to get paid back. Carpet is another thing where some agents pay for. Painting, I've done crazy things for people. To be honest. The money back. So I usually, you can have it like an invoice from like your company or whatever. And you just give it to the title company and they'll know what to do. Or they'll tell you what they need from you in order to have that. I mean, clearly, like, say if it's carpet, sometimes some carpet companies will get paid at closing too, but they're taking a risk too. And that would be probably only if you promise as the agent, hey, if they don't close, then I'll pay for the carpet, kind of thing. So you do have to, yeah. No. I mean, I've paid for things that I probably shouldn't have paid for, yeah. But I just chalk that up as I want to do the best for my client, and whatever it takes to get their house sold, I'll do it. And exactly, and I get referrals from that,
You pay for the cleaning
I do
to be done every time.
most of the time. If it's a like impeccably cleaned house, they don't really need a professional cleaning before pictures or showings, then I might offer like a move out clean for them, because a lot of times that's stressful to have to clean your house when you are moving. Granted, we only require a broom swept, but
Say you got cleaning, or not, say you take a cleaning, you have to put something that's going now, before you list it.
I'm not gonna do both. Is that, what do you mean?
So how do you decide which one to do?
Oh, if the house needs cleaned, I'm like, yeah, we'll clean your house for you. Because yeah, clean house is important. I got screwed recently on that. So happened to be one of our new vendors, and my cleaning people, like, their schedule's always booked. And so my client is like, hey, by any chance, do you know a cleaner? It's like, yeah. And his house was like perfect. He didn't need it. And so that's why I didn't offer it right at the beginning. I was just gonna pay for the move out clean. But there were two things that bugged him. His windows needed washed, and his glass in his shower, there were streaks on it, and he wanted that clean. So anyway, we hired the company. I said, well, I said, I've got this kid in my neighborhood who cleans windows really good. He cleaned mine. He's like, well, I don't know. He just wasn't comfortable having a 17-year-old boy come clean his windows. So I'm like, he's like, well, I don't know. Is there a cleaning company that can do both? I was like, well, actually, yeah, I just was at my team meeting this morning. Somebody said they could do it. So you can call them, but I've never used them. He called him. You guys, his house was 2 years old, brand new construction. He's a single guy. There's not a mess. He has no pets. It's perfect. White walls, everything. They came in and cleaned, and they brought like 6 people, and they charged him for like 43 hours to clean his house, which should have taken maximum 1.5 times the 5 people that he brings, right? So maybe 5 hours that should not have been 45 hours. And he's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And she's like, oh, well, your house is so beautiful. You said you loved it. It's like, no, that's not the point. You had told me they were going to be here for 2 hours. And he knew that there were people. So in his mind, he was thinking he was going to pay like 250, 300, maybe because they're doing a windows, up to 5. The bill came in at $1,300. And because I felt so guilty, I paid the damn bill. Well, he paid the amount that he had promised, and I paid the difference. And I did call him, and I was like, hey, this is not paid. They did drop the price. They did take off like $100 or something. Like, that's not enough. I was like, this is not good business. Like, if you're telling him it's going to be 2 hours with these people, then it's, 2 hours times 5, that's 10 hours. He's expecting to pay for 10 hours of work, which was $25 a person. Okay. So he's expecting to pay $250, but then you give him a bill of whatever. And she's like, well, we don't know until we're in. I said, well, if you're in it and you think it's going to take you longer, then you got to give the client a call, and then they can make the decision of whether they want you to continue or be done. And she's like, well, but he loves it. I'm like, we just went in circles. So vet them a little bit more. Normally I pay like $300 a cleaning ish. I did have another house this year that was absolutely disgusting. And the cleaners came, and they did call me, and they're like, okay, I know we said this, but it's going to take double the time. This is going to be $650, $700 clean. Are you okay with that? And I was like, no. So then I'm like, okay, what things are the most important things that we can clean and then I'll just tell her she's going to have to take care of the other stuff. And in hindsight, I kind of wish I would have just had them clean the whole bit, because it never was clean enough from that. So that was kind of a thing where I should have just paid $650. And they had big dogs. I think I had like 3 or 4 big dogs. And I love animals. I love all the things. But you guys, it's really hard to keep your house clean with big dogs, because they like drool on the walls and stuff, rub up against it with their, they've been outside, and then they come inside and you have dirt on the wall, right? So in that case, I always recommend too, like, I know that your pets are your people, they're like your kids, but is there any way that you can rehome them for the next month while we show your house? Yeah, and that was the complaint. It smelled like dog. It was dirty, but it's like it wasn't dirty because they were clean, but it was like, it's just that, yeah, And then they had lots of like air fresheners in the house. And then it's like, then you know that they're trying to hide something. You guys, it was bad.
That's something that I learned at first open house that I went, it was. And I said, do you do? Because that just makes me, there's an alarm. You're trying to cover something.
Yeah.
Because I like it smelling fresh.
Yeah.
Like, don't put air fresheners in there.
Yeah.
It's just better.
All right, I don't know how to make this full screen, but we'll just go through my listing presentation really quick. So I either bring a iPad or a laptop with me and I pull this up. And when I arrive at the house, the first thing that I do is I ask, and this is something that I learned from Lee also, is try to ask, hey, can I put my stuff at your table? So then you're like claiming that we're going to sit at the table when we come back to the table, right? So I go and I set my bag, everything down at the table. And then I personally, there's different strategies here. Some people don't like to have a tour of the home first, but I do. And that's because I want to use that time to kind of build a rapport with them. That's when I ask them questions like, well, why are you guys moving? You know, where are you going? What's your plans? And I'm just being conversational, you know, but asking specific questions. So they take me on a tour. I'm also very complimentary. Oh, your house is beautiful. I find things that I love. Oh, I really love how you did this, you know, blah, blah, blah. I'm not giving them any tips yet on what they need to do. I'm just loving on them in their house. Okay. So we go and I'm genuine. I'm like not lying. I'm finding really, truly things that I love about their house. Sometimes that's really hard, but you got to dig deep, right? My husband does not like resale very much. He is a new construction snob. So it's really hard for him. So I usually do the existing homes because he's like, there's toenails in the carpet. And I'm like, that just like grosses him out in his mind. But he also is a contractor and built a lot of homes and churches and things, and then worked for a builder. So I get it. I do get it. There is something sexy about a new build, right? But okay, so
Are your homes always safe?
yes. I'll go over staging in a minute. Yeah.
Sorry.
No, you're good. So you kind of have this up when we're getting started. We come back to the table, we sit down, and sometimes I ask, hey, by any chance, do you have a glass of water? And that's another technique that's like they're now serving you. And it gets more like kind of like breaks down a wall because they're now doing something for you and you're not doing everything for them right now, right? It's not, I don't know. It's just this like subtle thing that you do. So you ask for your water, they bring it to you, and then you say, okay, well, let's get going. And if I haven't asked enough questions this time, I still take this time to be like, why? You know, this is all about you right now. You tell me what's important to you about, you know, selling your home kind of thing. Go into some questions. And then I say, okay. Then we go into mine. I said, well, we're going to go over today my marketing plan. We're going to talk about 25 different things that we do from pre-listing to close. But before we jump into that, I like to go over this graph. And this is from the NAR, from National Association of Realtors. And it's just some percentages. So it talks about the different ways that buyers find a home. So 52% of buyers, they find a home by looking online. 28.6% of homes that a buyer find actually come from the agent. Now, this doesn't mean if they're finding it online that they're not using an agent. It just means that this agent might have like found a home and shown it to them. But so many buyers look on the internet, right? There's a small percentage of people who find a home or who sell their home, buyer who finds a home through a friend, relative, or neighbor. And this is a good time to ask the question, is there anybody that you know who wants to buy your house? That is an objection sometimes for later. So, and if they do, then we say, oh, great. Well, we can exclude them from our listing agreement. And if they decide they want to buy the home from you, then I'm not going to get paid on that. If they don't buy, then we'll just continue on as normal, right? 6.1% of buyers find a home through a builder. 4.1% of people find a home through a yard sign, yard sign and an open house. And 3.1%, they know the sellers. Okay, so the reason why I pull up this graph is because I really want, hold on, it's not how I'm trying to say how I say that. The reason why I pull up this graph is I want you to know that through our marketing, we try to hit every one of these points in how we market your home so that every person has an opportunity to see it and you get the most exposure possible. Then we go on to, so before we list, we're going to talk about strategic pricing. It's really important, especially in our market today, to price your home competitively. So we're going to talk about ways in which we can do that, help you come up with a price for your home. One of the things that we offer is professional cleaning. So if you need it, and I give them the option, I say, you can opt to use that now to get your home ready for photos. Or if you think I got it for photos, but I want a cleaning right before we have our open house, we can do it then. Or we can save it to the end and we can use it as a move out clean. Which would you prefer? And then they say, oh, I think I like it here. That's a great way. It's like a little closing, little things that they're agreeing to as we go. With our staging, so I said, what we're going to do is we're going to walk. Yeah. I just deduct it from my commission. I figure I'm asking a lot. I'm getting paid a lot. I can do that. I'll even do it with a 5%. And part of that is because I know I'm competing with some other people who are doing the same thing. So I try to go for the 6, but if we have to come down to 5, then I'll do it. You guys, I cannot be one of those agents who has your, here's your gold plan, here's your silver plan, here's your platinum plan. The platinum, we're gonna go for 6%, and this one's a 5%, and this one's a 4%, and each one is like a limited service, right? Over here, I'm giving you everything. You guys, I can't operate that way. I have tried to do that process, and it doesn't matter what they're paying me. I still do everything because this is my brand. This is me. I have to, everybody around me sees what I'm doing, and I want to make sure that every house that I sell is the same all around. Like that, when people see a listing from me, that's what they're going to get. So my husband is always like, let's do this. And I'm like, it doesn't work for me. Sorry. You had a question? I do. So that costs me, I use a couple of different photographers. The one I've been using recently is about $350. And that includes the interior, exterior aerials and a social media reel. You want to add on the Matterport, it's like another $100 or something. I don't always do what? No. So this is on any home. I'm going to do all of those things. I have been doing Matterport, but I wasn't doing the social media reel and I was doing Matterport, and I kind of feel like I get more value out of the reel. So I may not do Matterport for every house, but if it's a luxury one, I will. I'll do all the things for the luxury house. But for a regular one, I'm going to do interiors, exteriors, aerials. And I'm not talking I don't call it like my full set of aerials. I just do I want 5 or 6. And I want what I call the selfie shot, because it's really hard to get a good angle from the ground level of the front of the house. And, just like when we do this, I like them to get the drone up in front of the house and take a picture. So then you're not all driveway in the front of your, image. So that's what I asked them to do. So with the staging, a lot of times if the home is already decorated, I'm going to help with what I call a light stage or a fluff stage. So I'm going to help them with their bedding, their bathrooms, if they need pillows and greenery, artwork, that kinds of stuff. Probably I'm not going to bring in a bunch of furniture unless we need it. But it's mostly that kind of thing for the staging for that. And when I got started doing that, I would go down to Home Goods or TJ Maxx or wherever, IKEA, and probably spend like $300 to $500. Now I have enough stuff that I probably don't have to do that every time. So it's not like coming out of my pocket. If I have to do a full stage, I will. That's for a vacant home. And I don't have all the furniture for that. So I asked a couple agents in our office do it. So I asked them, and that ranges anywhere from $1,800 to $2,000. And I have to pay for that too. Because I don't pass on anything to the seller in that way. I know it cuts into your amount of money, but you guys, I'm like, right. Yeah. And if, I'm doing a 6% listing, like they're getting their money's worth, and I do tell them, hey, it cost me $2,000. And to have this, if it goes longer than 30 days, then it's the cost of it staying in that home, which is half that. So it adds up. And I have said to some people, if you want it longer than 2 months, then you might have to pay for that, to keep it in there. But hopefully we're not past that point, although right now it's kind of killing me. Then I tell them that, so we have a newsletter. So we send out a coming soon email to all of our database. Then I tell them how Keller Williams is an international company. And so because of that, we have our own like MLS within Keller Williams, and it goes out to every agent across the world as well as the MLS. And those MLS syndicates with basically every real estate website if we give it permissions to. So Zillow, Realtor, Trulia, all the things. I do target marketing. So what I mean for that is like postcards. So, and I'll also do social media ads. Postcards, I send out a just listed to the neighborhood. And then for a grand opening event, we do that. I like to list on a Wednesday. And the reason for that is I like to have enough time for it to be on the market. Your really serious buyers, though, are probably not looking on Saturday. They're going to be rearranging their life to come and look on Thursday or Friday, which I love. But then, yeah, so I do like to do the grand opening event, though. And so my serious buyers sometimes might not come till Monday or Tuesday. Or they might come to the open house, but most of them come on Monday or Tuesday. If I just allow showings, and I give the sellers the option, we can do a grand opening event and we can do it like this. We can list it on Wednesday and we can accept showings all the way up to the open house, or we can hold off on showings until the open house. So everybody's forced to come on Saturday. And then after that point, we just let it go open. What would you prefer? And most of them don't want to have any showings until the open house because they have still honey-do lists that they have to do. So they're trying to get ready. So that's what I like to do. And for this grand opening event, like I treat it just like an open house. We go, we knock doors, we talk to the neighbors. Hey, we have this open house on Saturday. We're listing a home, blah, blah, blah. And that's just a way for you to get the word out to their neighbors, because some business comes from the neighbors, right? But then the other reason is, hey, not every agent goes out and knocks a door and tells you there's an open house. So they're thinking already, oh, wow, this agent is really proactive. She's here talking to me. And even though they might be bugged in the moment, they still like that, So I create this big to-do and buzz over this grand opening event, trying to get as many people there as possible. When we list, we'll continue with print, social media, calls. We used to have a bus with our advertising on it, so I got that off, I guess. We'll do Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Google. And then I let them know that I also, I talk about our brokerage. We have 350 agents. And so I said at our team meeting, we always highlight our listings. And so, the first week, 300 agents are going to know that your house is available. And so they love that. I also continue marketing it in our newsletter. We put it on KSL, and we'll do event promotions too. Sometimes, like recently with the builder, we did like a taco truck thing where it was kind of like an open house, but we just had Jurassic tacos come, and just anybody who came got tacos at the event. And it was great because we got a lot of neighbors out too, which I know it's like, is that really worth it or I don't know. It's a way to get your name out there. And then I also offer a home warranty. So Elevate offers a home warranty that is free for the listing. So you can set that up. As soon as you get the listing, if something breaks while it's listed, the home warranty will cover it. And I even pay for the service call. So I'll set it up. I had one client, their stove broke, their oven broke like a couple weeks before closing. I put in the thing through the home warranty company. It was like $60 at the time for the call. It was worth it to me. They fixed their oven. We didn't have to worry about it. They walked away so happy. So.
You're paying a deductible on it. Is that what it is?
So with the home warranty, there's a service call for some things. It's like, I don't remember what Elevate charges now. It used to be 60, but they raised it. I think it's like 75, 80. Yeah. Yes, it's amazing. And I've had some investor friends that they just buy home warranties for their houses every year. And if they have renters in them and something breaks, they just put it right through the home warranty. It's the best $500 you will spend every year. I mean, because like even with your HVAC system, if that goes out, yeah, there's, it's not, there's a deductible on that, or it's going to cover up to a certain amount, but it's still going to save you $7,500, whatever that is, so that's great. Also, I use this home warranty as a tactic when I'm negotiating. This is off topic. So if a home, say, has older HVAC, then we negotiate in, if they don't want to fix it or replace it, we negotiate in like a 2 or 3 year home warranty for them that the seller pays for. So if that goes out in the first 2 to 3 years, the buyer is not going to be responsible for a $20,000 system in their house, for the full amount. Anyway, I love that.
The home warranties, they go for 3 years or?
No, technically it's 1 year and you have to re-up it every year, but you can, I think Elevate lets you go up to 2 years. I like to use Elevate or Ibex. Those are my favorite. And the reason for that is they don't have a 30-day seasoning of title clause. What that means is if you move into your house, you basically can't submit any claims for the first 30 days because they say it's a pre-existing condition. And so anytime after that, it'll cover it. Well, Elevate covers from day one, and so does Ibex. Plus, they're local. They're cool guys. And they do a great job. I don't know if Silverback has that same clause. I haven't looked into it. I do need to ask him. He comes and I forget to ask him every time. So if Silverback offers that no 30-day thing, that would be a great one to go through too. He's a great guy and homeowner or business owner as well. When we list, so this shows my syndication. So it'll go out to all of these plus more. We'll put in a smart sign. And what that means is that you're going to have like a writer or something with a, something you can scan or text to get the property information. The reason why I like to do that is because it captures the lead for you so that you can follow up. Also, reflective signs are important too. Not all signs come as reflective, but I think it's like 30% of, I can't remember what the statistic is, but it's something like that. Around 30% of buyers are out looking at night. And if your sign is not reflective, they're not going to notice it. So it just like, as you drive in a neighborhood, your lights shine and it reflects. Or I've seen, if you don't get the reflective thing, I've seen some sign companies who will install your sign. They'll put a light on the top. And that's another, I don't know. It's like a solar light, I think. I haven't used that because I already have reflectives, but maybe someday. I also always include the showing service. And I do talk about this to the client about, how awesome it is, because I think this just adds transparency to the whole process. Like I'll make sure that showing requests get text to them and me, and I want them to approve it. If they can't approve it or they're not approving it within a timely manner, then I'll text them and say, hey, did you see that? What do you think? Is this going to work for you? And they're like, it's not going to work. Then I can reach out to the list or to the buyer's agent and be like, hey, that time doesn't work. Can they come in another time? So I'm not like ignoring it, but I like it because I like the sellers to see every inquiry that comes in for a showing. And then our print marketing and just, we have massive exposure that we aim for. After we list, this is really important to me as well. So we try to have responsive communication. So that to me looks like sometimes I'm in a meeting and I'm teaching a class. If they texted me during this time, I'm not going to be available. But I tell them I will try to get back to them within 2 hours of a text. That's pretty reasonable. Most of the time I get back to them within a minute. But sometimes there are situations where I'm with a client and I just can't text. So I tell them, hey, I'll try to get back to you within 2 hours. I also try to do that with any, like, obviously with our leads and like internet leads, I'm trying to get back way faster. But I do try to, anything we try to get in within 2 hours. And they feel like that's reasonable. And then at nighttime, I need to have better boundaries, but but like if you text me around 8, I'll probably respond. I don't really tell them that, but I do respond because I'm like crazy. And Ben's like, Courtney, put your phone away and go to bed. It's really hard. I'm going to create an email, and on the email, I'm going to provide the weekly update. So I might look to see how many new listings came out, are there any homes that went under contract this last week? Any that sold, I'm going to tell them how many sold, how many went under contract, how many came out. I'm going to tell them if the price that we have set is still a good price. I'm going to provide all of the listing feedback that I get from the text or from the aligned showing service. They'll ask for feedback. I'll provide all of that. And then of course, once we get an offer, I'm going to negotiate like a boss for you and help you get the most amount of money possible out of your transaction. Of course, win-win is important to me on all sides. And I do talk to them about win-win and what that means and why that's important. This kind of goes over what's included in the home warranty. So all of these things are covered. And you guys, it's $0 for you to sign up for it, for the listing. I don't know why Elevate does this, but well, I know they do it. It's because they're trying to sell their, if they can offer this for us, for a listing, then more than likely we'll call them to do the home warranty for us after. Then we talk about staging. We might get up from the table here. Hey, let's go around your house and let's create a list of all the things that, would help you get your house in tip-top condition. Then we come back. Are you ready to price your home? Yes, before I throw the last slide up. Yes, let's do it. Okay. All right. So there's certain things that you as a seller can control, and there's certain things that you cannot control. Okay. So a home always sells for 3 reasons: price, condition, and location. Okay. I'll add on these 2 other things that we can control. We can control how often you're available to show your home. If you have limits, a lot of limits on when you can show your house, more than likely it's not going to sell as fast as you want it to. So if you want to sell your house, we got to make it available, right? And another thing that you can control is you can offer a home warranty as part of your sale. So I say the best home warranty program is with Elevate or Ibex, and it costs about $750. And they are like, okay. And if they don't understand what the warranty does, then I tell them why it's important to have one. Lowers their risk, gives peace of mind for them and the buyer. Factors that you can't control. We can't control the competition. We can't control what the market's doing. We can't control the interest rates. We can't control when the perfect buyer will come through. So, but we can do everything that we can do within our control to help market and provide the maximum exposure for your house with your help.
Not always so.
My sellers always get one unless the buyer doesn't ask for it. But we always go in with the expectation they're going to pay for one, because why wouldn't you?
Oh, wait. You don't
Oh.
pay for it.
No. Oh, okay. So the $0 for the listing, but then when the buyer buys the house, then the seller pays for that. Yeah. Unless it's a crazy, and there were times in the market last 2 years ago that the buyers would pay for everything because they just wanted to get the house, but right now probably not the case. Okay, and then I talk to them about some misconceptions. So, it's important to list your property at a competitive market value when we finalize the listing agreement. It's not what you paid. Some people, unfortunately, owe more than what their house is worth. And you can't sell your house. We have to sell it for what is worth right now. You can't sell it for what you need, what you want, what your neighbor says it's worth, what another agent says, or the cost to rebuild today. So even if your house is 2 years old, it's 2 years old. It doesn't matter if your house has a fence, grass, landscaping, the basement's finished, all the things. Somebody will still pay more for the new construction house. You get maximum top value for new construction. But once somebody lives in it, there's toenails on the carpet. I mean, you know, I try to talk to my buyers about the value of the house, but they're still looking at, but this was brand new, brand new, you know, but this one over here, look, this fence cost $10,000. All this landscaping, another $20,000. Like, that's $40,000 you don't have to spend if you buy this one. So the sellers, though, they think, oh, I put in $30,000 in a fence and landscaping, therefore my house is worth $30,000 more than the new build. No, it's worth less. So that's like the art, I guess, of selling. Buyers and sellers determine the value. You can even create a Venn diagram and say, you can even add the appraiser in here. But the value of your property is determined by what a buyer is willing to pay and what a seller is willing to sell it for today in today's market. Now, you can add the appraiser in third because it still has to appraise, like if they're getting a loan, right? And what, like 80% of buyers or 90% of buyers have a loan. So we're going to look at that. Buyers make their pricing decision based on comparing your property with other properties in the area. So just as an appraiser does comps on your house to find the value, and just as I pulled comps to find the value, your buyer is also looking at what else is for sale in that area. And if they see your house is 4,300 square foot, the house down the road is 4,300 square feet, you're selling it for $40,000 more than this one, and you don't have really anything different, your price too high, and they won't come see it. So this is really important because it's really important to think about pricing it right the first time, because time on market also works against you. Okay, so we list it at a certain price. Here's market value. You think, oh, I'm going to list it high and some buyer will negotiate. Nope, they won't. And the longer that it sits, the less money or a buyer's willing to pay because they think something's wrong with it. Your golden time to buy is right here in that first 30 days. Okay, so if it's long on the market, you're going to probably sell your house for less than market value. If we list it right at market value, you could sell it here and maybe get this because people will see it as a good deal or priced right. Yeah. Here's another statistics I like to show. If we price it right the first time, you're going to attract the most buyers. So this shows, here's the asking price on this side. Here's the percent of potential buyers who will look at your property. So if you're priced at market value, you're going to get 60% of buyers looking at your house. If you price it 10% above the market, it immediately cuts in half the amount of buyers who are willing to look at your house. If you even go up to 15% above, and you guys, a $500,000 house priced at 10% above, it's $550,000. You know, a lot of sellers think, oh, you're saying it's worth $500,000. Well, let's try for $530,000. What do you think about that? Well, this is what I think. You're going to get half the amount of buyers. And even at market value, you're still not capturing all the buyers. You know, if we go 10% below, you're going to get 75%. If you go 15%, you're going to get 90% of the buyers out. And more than likely, you're going to close here because you're going to create a bidding war, you know, value. So many people are out and like, oh, I want this house, I want this house, I want this house. And that crazy adrenaline gets pumping, you know.
And the price was good, but I wasn't necessarily in the market that I was searching for.
Yeah.
Cause I was searching on like, student housing. So I
Mhm.
was like, great, I just want to sell it. Oh, what can I sell for?
Right.
And if you're pricing it 30% above where I'm looking, the everyday internet
Yeah.
browser person isn't gonna be looking. My
Yeah,
budget's
you're right.
500,000, I'm not gonna go up.
You're right. And that's interesting that you say that because buyers will look in their price range. But if I create a hot list, I always expand it a little bit because I know that there may be some deals up in this category that we could bring them down, you know. Yep, yep. Yep. So by now, hopefully the seller has already in their mind made a decision on where they're going to price the house. I've provided them the information, the statistics. Now they get to choose, where do you want to price your home? And this is when I start pulling out the comps. So I like to make it pretty. So I don't give the actual MLS. I mean, I take the data from the MLS, but I like plug it in on my thing. So this is just another property that we comped. This one was a tricky one. There was like nothing that sold in this neighborhood and it was older. Anyway, so I just put the property details here and then on the right-hand side, did the date of when we're having our listing presentation. And then I give them their estimated value range. I do like to go bigger than 590, 600, but I like to try to keep it in like a $20,000 range and hey, let's meet in the middle or something like that. But, I give, how much square foot, how many acres, when it was built. And then we look at the comps. This one, I pulled this one in because the inside was like totally trashed. So I wanted them to see like this house, though it's the same size of yours, it actually sold. And this is why it sold for so much less than what the other comps are bringing. This one sold for 577.
Normally did.
So 555 usually, but this one does not have 555. I mean, 5 sold, 5 under contract, 5 active. So, and then this one's sold for 600 on June 14th, a little bit bigger, a little bit smaller of a lot, a little bit older. Then I take the maps that comes from the MLS, I put it into the map tool, and I then take a screenshot and put it on into my thing to show like where the houses are. And then, and I like to pull within a half mile. If I can't find anything within a half mile, then I start expanding. But this is why you need to know, like say an area like Sandy, if you pull a half mile, that might not be right. You need to know the neighborhoods. This neighborhood comps with this neighborhood. This neighborhood comps with this neighborhood, kind of thing. Then I do a comparison chart and I just basically screenshot the MLS, the one that generates. So I just screenshot that, put that in. So they have those right there. And then I show them what's for sale. It's really important to show what their competition is. So I always include the actives. So it shows like what houses are selling for. And then we talk about why. I did a lot of them because it was tricky to find this one. Then I go to the MLS and I pull up the statistics on how many active homes in Harriman. And in their price point, which was like this one, there's 25. They've been on the market 30 days. I like to show them like what the average days on market is. And then you're under contract. In the last 30 days, 16 went under contract and the average days on market was 72. And then sold in the last 30 days. Oh, I think this was a longer, whoops. It should be less than that, but I think, yeah, I must have done, whoops, that one's a mess up. Should be the last 30 days and it would be a smaller number. And then that's it. Now, this point, then, I say, so do you want to hire me? Essentially, and they're like, yes or no. If they have some questions, or I say, what questions do you have? And we try to, go over the questions. Then do you want to hire me? And then if they want to hire me, I do not usually do the paperwork right then. I know it's a risk. It's a big risk. Because there could be somebody else who comes behind me and they like, hurry up and sign it. Okay. But I usually just set the expectation, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you everything over digitally, and I try to get it in that night or the next morning. We'll get it to you by tomorrow morning. And it's worked for me. I actually have never had somebody not follow through with that. I have had people follow through with, we agree on a purchase price, and then they call me back and they're like, okay, Courtney, like, okay, you said this and we agreed on this, but is there any way that will you list the house if we bump it up another 10,000? Sure. You know, like I've already told them, I was like, well, blah, 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 that I'm willing to do this for you. But there is another thing that you could do is you could add in, I'll tell you what, we could do that. But if it doesn't get the type of traction or movement that we get within the first 10 days, then we're going to lower the purchase price to X. And you can put that into your addendum when you send it all over for the listing paper. So you've already agreed upon it and you don't have to like re-ask for that. What was I going to go to here? The forms. We just got to go over this form really quick and then questions and then. So we're going to go to can't tell where the search box is. All right, let's do right here. All right. So on the listing agreement, now I usually send over more than just the listing agreement. I'm going to send over the listing agreement, the fraud, the MLS input form. I like to do everything all at once because I hate asking them to sign another document later. I just want it all to be signed at the beginning. So some people don't operate like that though. They like to just get the listing signed and then we'll send the rest. But for me, I'd rather just take the time. Let's just get it all done. Boom. Okay. So I put in their information, my information. If I'm co-listing with Ben, I'll put Ben's information here too. I like to do at least a 6-month listing. Becca likes to do wherever she is till the end of the year, at least. Or longer if you can. Mostly that's just for paperwork stuff. You put in the property address. Now here's where people get kind of, I've seen this wrong a few times. So make sure that this is right. So here's the amount where if you're going to charge a transaction fee, this is where you would charge it. Now I do charge a transaction fee, but it's not a crazy high expensive one. It's $295. And that goes to pay for my transaction coordinator. And mostly because I'm paying for everything else. So, like I'm paying for your photography, I'm paying for your cleaning, I'm paying for your staging, I'm paying for your home warranty shiz. I'm paying for all of it. So nobody is ever like rarely, I can't say nobody, but I would be like very, very small percentage of people have asked me about this number. They just nothing. Here's where you'd put in the total brokerage fee. So if we had agreed upon a 6%, we would put that here. And then we say here in this box, how much of the 6% is going to the buyer's agent? And you put in that number. Now, the reason why they added this is because for years, there were some agents who would charge 7% and then only give 2% to the buyer's agent. And so many people got pissed about it and felt that was shady, and their clients didn't know. Their clients thought they were splitting it. And so they added this in, and I like it. It helps to keep us all honest. And anything I do, I try to just split it. Now, I also put a 1-month period here. A lot of people do different things, but I do that. You want to make sure that that's a box that people often forget. And then this is a good time for you to remind them that you are a real estate agent. You're not an accountant, lawyer, I do kind of go through the sections and kind of talk them through it. At the end, where did I find the information? I found it from county records, or if you have an appraisal or building plans, do that. I also tell them like all of this information here, we have to provide to the seller or to the buyer as part of the seller's property disclosures. And, that's also on the REPC. So I get them looking for this stuff now. So like the HOA stuff, where is it? Is it not on here? Well, anyway, I tell them they have to, I start getting them to work, putting them to work now. Because then that's buy-in for them, you know, when they're like, yeah, let me start gathering this stuff. And here, let me fill out this seller's property condition disclosure. I always bring that and give that to them to start filling out then, because they've signed something already for me. They've filled something out. Attachments, I always have an additional attachment because I don't know, there's something that we always have. It's not usually a foreign investment, but you do need to disclose if it is. And then you just have everything signed. So it's pretty straightforward there, right? So we went through the listing. You want to show that you're not like, I don't know. Do you feel like with all the stuff that I've given them already, like, do they think I'm qualified or not? Yeah. So I don't even have to really tell them any statistics. Rarely do I. Only if they ask, how many closings did you have so far this year? Then I might, you know, give them some statistics. But most of the time, I'm just showing that I'm showing them all the things that I'm going to do for them. And that is giving me the credibility that I need. And then the pathos comes from, well, I guess I bring in stories. I talk about things, you know, talking about their staging, loving on their house. But then also the reviews help too. So it's better for you to have a client review than you telling them how amazing you are, right? So make sure everything's put into command. And we kind of went through this at the end. I love to send a handwritten note after. That's just an extra, even if they don't hire you, you still thank them, because sometimes those listings don't work out. And so then they call you, you know, later, and they remember these nice things that you do for them. Any ahas, questions?
But what do you do? Would you give them a gift, closing gift?
I do.
What do you do?
It varies so much.
Especially if they're
Yeah. Right. On investments, I usually just send a gift card to Amazon or a restaurant or something, you know. I try to customize it to the people. I try to get to know them and find out like what their interests are, but sometimes I don't have time. So I just get an eater's basket. Or when I do have time, I do something a little bit fancier. Like I had a cute couple help sell their house in Eagle Mountain, and they were moving to Tennessee, and they had 4 little kids under the age of 6, I think. So I got like a big cooler thing, and I had all these like fun little activities, games. I gave them a bunch of gift cards for like Wendy's, Subway, whatever on the way. So they had like their road trip taken care of, like snacks and things for the kids. And like, you know, the idea is don't bring it out until you're in the car. I don't know if they did that, but that was one thing I did. And then I had the cooler, you know, that was like the thing that they kept for a while. Other times I've done, I like to do, another thing I've done is photography. So I have a photographer who I hire, and it's not a cheap photographer. It's usually $300-ish. And they'll take their family photos at their house after they move in, or go on location somewhere with them. So it's like they can start creating new memories in their house with photos. So that's fun. People have liked that. I've done like Cutco knives, but I put like together like a basket with that, like just a chef's knife with like a cutting board and some other things. I've done diffusers. So people ask about scents. Like I don't usually like recommend putting like artificial smells like in your house, you know, but if you have a diffuser and you do essential oils, like citrus smells are always light, refreshing, and it's a nice touch. You don't have to do it, but it's a nice touch.
This is a little unrelated, but for new construction, are seller disclosures needed, or is that just because?
So usually they don't have them. And so if in command, you're like, what do I do? You just make a note to Randall, and you just say, this one's new construction. No SPD, SPCD. That's what I do. But sometimes the builder will provide some kind of disclosure, and it's usually in the contract somewhere. Yeah. So if it says no, then you just say no. Because I mean, there's nothing to disclose really, unless they do like a land one. I've seen like Edge, I think, does the land one. So yeah, anything like you want to try to put everything and anything in, but sometimes there's like it's an off-market property, so they're not going to have an MLS. So then you just put in the little notes. This is off-market, not listed on the MLS, and then they will approve it. Let's see if there was anything else. Any other thing that you learned? No, we're good. Well, good. Some other things. Okay, this is a question that you asked about your contacts, and you know, we're all guilty of not doing this every day. But I will say the things that I do every day, this is why I have so many referrals and stuff, is I do text people in my sphere every day. I pick 10 people and I just create conversations. Sometimes they're not even real estate related, but it's just me reaching out. Hey, how are you? Yeah, I do. Mm-hmm. So I try to keep like, there's a system. It's one of the systems I think Keller Williams does. I can't remember what they call it, but basically it's 2 letters. So you do A's and Z's and then. So I do that. I'll go onto Facebook and I will comment on 10 different people's page that day. I'll like 10 different posts because the algorithms, unless you're interacting with people, they're not going to pop up or show your information. So I try to do that, try to mess with the algorithms by going into my alphabetical and starting with the A's, and then I'll just pick the top 10 going. Also, sometimes when I'm texting people and I don't know what's really going on, people share their lives all the time. So go onto Facebook. If you can't think of something to say to somebody, you say, oh, you look and find out what's going on in their life. Then you go and you say, oh, hey, so how are you? I saw that you guys went to da-da-da. How was your trip? And there you go. So I'm not the best at reaching out to new people, but I am amazing at reaching out to my people in my database and phone already. So that's something that I do. The handwritten notes, those go a long way too. And these are just thinking of you cards. These are not like, you're not offering or giving. I never give a card in anything like that because they already know you're a realtor. What they want to know is this person authentic? Are they genuine? Do they really care about me? Or do they only care about my money? You know? So anyway, great things to do for the dailies. Be careful calling, do not call, don't call, do not calls. I think that's it. Yay. So if it's somebody in your sphere, I don't worry about it. This more has to do with like cold calling. And I subscribe to Redx, which is a site that has for sell by owners, all of those expireds, foreclosures. Then it also has geo leads, so you can like put in an address and it will pull up like anybody that you want to farm. It will pull up that neighborhood and it will pull up all the houses and the people who own it and as much information that they have about that person. Sometimes it's not accurate, but it at least gives you like names, emails, stuff like that. So on those, on Redx, they actually do scrub it and it will tell you if there's a DNC. Other than that, you might have to. If it's somebody you don't know and you're like just cold calling them, then you'd have to go to the do not call website, punch in their number and see if they're on it. But like some of the services that we subscribe to already provide that scrubbing service. So Redx is one of them. For the internet leads, so if they filled out their information and they've asked me to contact them, right? So I'm not breaking any rules there because I'm not like randomly calling somebody, like I'm returning a request. So that's different. You're not violating the do not call there. Yeah. Thank you. I know, I hope it's not overwhelming. I've been in the business a long time, so I'm constantly redoing and adding to. Like, it's like when I was a teacher and I taught Romeo and Juliet. I don't know how many times I've taught Romeo and Juliet, but I've never taught it the same way twice. And that's because I'm always looking for new ways or things that I can add to or make it better. And that's what I mean, Bibiana's here. She's an excellent agent. She's got a great business, but she's here learning from other people. What can I do? And I like to do that too. Like I was literally watching Becca Summers last night at 1 a.m. How does Becca do it? You know, how does whoever the last person was who taught the class, how do they do it? You know, what's different? And then actually I did tweak a couple things in the middle of the night last night because I was like, oh, I really like that slide that Becca used. I'm going to put that in. And then I just added it to what I currently do. So.
Is there a book or anything that you studied to learn your negotiation skills?
Oh, so Crucial Conversations is a good book for everybody to read. But then there's that book, Never Split the Difference or something like that. That's a good book on negotiating. Do you have any others? No. I agree. Thank you. Yeah. And at exactly what Bibiana says, as you learn or as you're doing more deals and working with more clients, you're right. Like every deal is different. And the market is changing so much too. And so, well, it has for us in the last 5 years, you know, it's really been up and down all around. And so we're constantly learning from others. The thing that I love about KW is that so many people are willing to share their trade secrets, you know, that so many other people at different brokerages just don't do. So I've hopped around. When I first got started, I was at Equity, and then I've been at ERA, Remax, another one in Salt Lake. Forget.
This is the best.
And this is the best. Thank you. Yes, so nice to meet you too. Yes.
So have you been to the representative for a building?
Oh, good question. So that deal came.
Is this the first time you do? No, because you said Ben has done them before.
So Ben has worked. So Ben's thank you. Have a beautiful rest of your day.
Thank you.
So Ben, thanks. Ben is a general contractor. So he worked as a builder